Hello everyone, all the students who are watching this session. Now, friends, with us we have Vatsal. Now, Vatsal was one of our students. I can say that yes, he's still our student, and I would say that I'll not explain anything. I'll not introduce Vatsal right now. I want Vatsal to introduce himself, right? So, Vatsal, very warm welcome in this session. And first of all, really sorry to take you out from your busy schedule for this session. I'm really thankful to you that you could take out some time. And secondly, a big congratulations, right? So congratulations. Why I'm congratulating you? You can tell us.
So thank you, sir. And interacting with the teachers like you out of busy schedule, that is something that we should all thank you. And you take your time out for our doubts all the time. And so, hello everyone. My name is Vatsal Soni. I create cat with a percentile of 99.54 and ZAT with a percentile of 99.18. I recently converted Xlri Jamshedpur for their flagship HRM program, and I'm awaiting a few more converts.
Right. So, friends, as you all know, like I've heard from Vatsal that he has cleared XLRI Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur, I can say that by far one of the top B schools of the country. It can easily come in top five. So, we have invited Vatsal so that he can share his journey with all of you. Right? So, जो भी वत्सल ने experience किया in the last 1 year or 1.5 year, how was his preparation, क्या क्या steps लिए उसने, so that you can all learn from whatever he has experienced. Okay, so what's a just very basic thing, like how was your entire journey with PW? थोड़ा सा डिटेल में एक्सप्लेन करोगे क्या क्या challenges face किए, क्या क्या सीखा, like whatever you can tell us about.
So coming to the first challenge that I think was everyone like me or anyone in my place starts a cat prep, the first query is what to do, what to start from, and where to learn from. And
Absolutely.
most of the people somehow start with the videos, YouTube. They start going after different things. They start different test series. They just start directly to videos. There, I found that the first and foremost was identifying my strength, which
Okay.
identifying was that giving a mock test of PW and understanding where do I stand, which sections do I need to work on. Like my verbal was always something that I was strong, and I knew that I need to put more focus on LRDI and quants,
All
and
right.
that's how I slowly knew that what I needed to learn, which concepts. And after that, YouTube videos were updated regularly for different topics. There were
Mhm.
question series, weekend sprints, marathons in the entire journey. There were different question banks, which felt very helpful. Like a person who has some experience, who has a background, who is good with his skills and wants to practice, it was really easy. I didn't need to start from the basic. I had different levels of questions as well to choose from, that whether I didn't want to go the advanced section and the hard ones. So that's where it helped me a lot. And even after scoring CAT, the second part was the interviews and the GD. That is where actual real hustle starts. Scoring in the
Okay.
paper was something I think I can do again. But
Perfect. Perfect.
obviously the interviews, and then the PW organized a wonderful boot camp where it
Right.
was a 3 day boot camp. It helped a lot in CV. It helped a lot of people in nourishing their CV, because CV is very important when you send to the people. That is the first impression that the interview gets of you. And we had GD sessions over there. Moreover, people were there from very different backgrounds. That was
Okay.
something that was an additional opinion, meeting out people from different backgrounds and not just from your normal office or routines, because mostly we interact with people from our streams, and we are going to B schools to meet people like that only, who are toppers and who know what they want in life and what their goals are. That was a wonderful opportunity of networking. I met a lot of people are there. We are still in touch, and most of them have also converted top B schools itself. And my personal interview went a lot like it was a very honest feedback. There was no sugarcoating. My
Mhm.
mock interview over there, it was very is that where I was not right. And although I felt very confident in few terms, I knew that I needed to work, and it was something that I needed, that honest feedback and not sugarcoating that yeah, you're doing good, just do this. It was very straight that this is entirely wrong, which you're going around. You need to
All
decrease
right.
your pace. And what is also grilling interview, which sometimes happens with a lot of colleges. You never know what the interview is thinking about.
Right. So this is very common thing that happens. Right. So Vatsal, ऐसा करते हैं like to make users understand you in a better way. So let's break your entire journey in smaller parts. Okay. So it will hardly take 10-15 minutes of yours. So, first of all, tell me, like, when you started your preparation for CAT or like these MBA entrance examinations, since you have cracked XLRI, you must have taken that examination. So, what was your mindset before you started your preparation, and what you were actually doing in your graduation?
So I did my graduation in 2023 from Thapar in the electronics. After that, I've been working with the Maruti Suzuki, and right now I'm
Right.
working as well. I was managing my prep sidewise itself, which I recommend to everyone out there that you don't need to skip your job if you have the right guidance. You don't need to leave your job for the prep.
Right.
And so when I started the prep, I gave CAT last year. It was just an attempt where I gave it. I didn't have any expectations. I just went in for the paper on the day because I needed an experience what it feels like, because I was out of touch for 4 years. Last exam I gave was J. So it was more like an
Okay.
experience. I scored a 98 percentile then, and in that I had 99.6 last year. But
Mhm.
I didn't get sectionals in them because I went there for just for the experience. And this year I started my prep. I knew that I had a skill set, basic knowledge, and I only needed to work on some aspects of my last year. And I didn't
Huh.
start from the basic watching videos of every topic. Like I said, went in for a mock directly to understand where I stand. And that's what I recommend to people who are new as well. If you are very sure that you know which areas to work upon, that good, you start with them. But if you are very clueless what to do, what to start, give a mock, see where you stand, because it will be a very good self-reflector of you. Like there is nothing to be feel bad if you score bad. It is very good if you know where your weak areas. I scored very bad in my first mock as well. I knew that in my area that needed focus, so I worked on it and I made it to a 99 percentile in the same section. So that's all it was about. And slowly and slowly I increased my sectional test, and my most of the focus was on the questions and the mock past. I wanted to build a strategy because I had
Okay.
last year some knowledge, but strategy was missing last year. And this year, one more thing was that I also few topics I used. What kind of shortcuts are there? Some tricks, because when they come in handy, if you solve one or two questions by tricks, it adds a 6 marks, which is a very large percentile difference, especially above the 99.5 gap.
Huh.
So that was my entire journey. My day was like coming back from office, solving a sectional, and then taking a mock two in a week. And once after the June and the July period when it started, so that I increased my mock frequency. I think I take a minimum of 35 mocks in the entire time.
Okay. That's
And
huh.
coincidentally, during my last time, my mock score started deteriorating. My verbal score went down. Then,
Uh-huh.
then for a week, I left all mock, and the first verbal section I did was in the paper itself, and I
Hmm.
scored a 99.3 in the verbal section, which turned out to be the entire game changer for my CAT score.
So what was your mindset when your score started dropping? Like कुछ मॉक में अच्छा स्कोर किया 98 99 आया फिर एकदम से मॉक में स्कोर ड्रॉप हो गया तो what was your psychology?
So I started panicking somehow when I realized that I was going in with too many mocks. I was going in one mock every alternate day, which somehow made me rethink my answers. I knew what the correct answer was. I marked it, and then I started thinking and changed it entirely. This was
Mm-hmm.
entirely then I discussed with teachers as well, and what was it doing. And the first recommendation was that leave all this, take a break for some time, and go
Right.
with your first answer. And that's exactly what I did in the paper. I went with my first answer, because in verbal there is strategy. When you start thinking it, you're most probably going to do it wrong, because the answers are very close and there is a very high probability you will mark it wrong itself.
Okay, okay. So, like you told me that, like while you were preparing, you were also working, and you would recommend students not to leave the job, not to leave the studies. Like CAT के लिए इतना ज़्यादा सब कुछ छोड़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. So, how much time you were spending in the entire day? Like weekdays में तो obviously you had job, then weekends पे कुछ time मिलता होगा. So, can you tell us a little bit कितना time spend करते थे in a week, in a month?
So I work in an automobile sector, and I work in a new product development. So my entire day was I had to work from office itself from 9 to 7, and I tried at least squeezing 2 hours a day for my sectionals and prep. I tried to do two sectionals a day at least minimum, and based on that, on the what was the feedback of my sectionals, what was the response, I picked up topic test on the next day. I tried to devote 2 hours at least a day on weekdays, and in the weekends I tried to squeeze in at least 7 to 8 hours, give a mock, analyze it properly, and then studied some topic videos. Not doing sectionals on the weekends, because I tried going with a mock and then analyzing it and following up with some videos on the same topics, which helped me. Yeah, that this could have been good. This could have been good. So that's how I tried to manage my time.
All right, great. So anything like that you took special care of, कोई particular area में, कुछ particular topics में, like you focused more than any other topic.
So I focused a lot on quant, especially in the arithmetic and the algebra part. And
Mhm.
coming from an engineering background, people think that we are bound to be great in quant,
This
but
is the
mine
biggest
wasn't.
perception of people. Yes.
And in the last year when I gave CAT, I had a 98 percentile with the
Uh-huh.
just 3 marks in quant. So, so
So your
that's why I knew.
scores were very poor.
No, actually, it was poor as well. It was more like I had a very strong notion that if I pick something, I need to solve something.
Okay.
So I picked up the first 3 questions. They turned out to be the most difficult ones in the set. So
All
they
right.
were meant to be the questions that we leave. And
Hmm.
that's what I learned in the quant section, that not everything has to be solved. Because I
Absolutely.
had a lot of problem with the question that if I pick something, I need to solve something. That is
Hmm.
something I need developed in, especially in both LRDI and quant. Because these two sections, if you don't know what to leave, you'll certainly mess up your paper. And that's exactly what we saw in CAT 25, 24. The paper turned out to be an easier side. And
Hmm.
if you picked up the hard ones, you certainly missed out 1 or 2 questions which were easy marks over there. So that's one thing where I focus what to leave and how to decide what to pick in the section.
Absolutely. So I can say that, during the examination, if it is even a mock paper or your actual examination, the art of leaving a question, this is one very important thing that every student should learn, right? So we should not stuck on any question. We should not have our ego between the question, like कि यार ये तो question solve करके ही जाना है. Questions tough हो सकते हैं. It's a CAT examination. So we should always move ahead and think about the rest of the questions. Wonderful, wonderful, yeah. So you took, I think, this approach in your second attempt, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So ठीक है, मुझे समझ में आता है like your verbal RC was well in place, right? Then quant, you struggled in your first attempt, then you recovered in your second attempt, learning from your mistakes. What about the third section, logical reasoning, data interpretation? How good or bad it was?
So DI was something I always liked to do, and the data interpretation. And coincidentally, in the recent time, CAT has decreased those questions. Like they are considered to be easier. Charts and graphs, however, sometimes they make it so tricky that you'll pick it up. But that was something I always liked. And logical reasoning, I tried to do more and more sets because there are no limits to what there is no syllabus of LRDI. That is what the restriction of LRDI is. There is no fixed syllabus. Algebra, you know, arithmetic, you know, geometry, you know what you have to read. But LRDI is something you need to click the approach. If it clicks, it solves. Otherwise, there is no logic over it. And one thing I developed in LRDI was when I pick a set, I give it first 10 minutes that I'll read it. I'll know first 10 minutes. I'll make up the mind. I'll plot it out whether I can solve it or not. Because sometimes you pick up a set, but even in 10 minutes, it doesn't click on you what to do exactly because there is no fixed formula. Like if it is a simple Venn diagram set theory question, you'll obviously solve it with that. But if it is an entirely question where you have to take out data, deduce charts, so that is where you need to take out time and think whether this is my niche forte or not. So I had made my mind if DI questions come, I'll pick that on the first. After that, I'll sort out my what logical reasoning questions, and I try to maximize the types of questions that I take: games and tournaments, sequencing, circular arrangements was something I was very weak at before CAT. So
Mhm.
that area I tried to work and picked up more questions on that as well, like understanding how to approach, what is the approach by approach.
Okay. So you were very clear about the preference of like preference that should be given to the questions. So DI strong है तो DI पहले करो, reasoning strong है तो reasoning पहले कर लो, because you just need to select out of 4 or 5 sets that will come in CAT examination. Quant की तरह नहीं है ना. We have more than 20 questions and we'll have to scroll through every question to understand कौन सा वाला हमारा strong area है, कौन सा weak area है. So LRDI में तो हम ये चीज कर सकते हैं. नाइस नाइस नाइस. तो यार वत्सल एक चीज बता यार. मेरे पास ना जनरली क्वेश्चन आता है लाइक आई टेक केयर ऑफ LRDI. सो जनरली स्टूडेंट्स पूछते हैं कि सर एक दिन में मिनिमम कितने सेट करने चाहिए LRDI के, या फिर कितने RC पैसेजेस सॉल्व करने चाहिए, कितने क्वांट के क्वेश्चंस एक दिन में करने चाहिए. तो ऐसा कुछ आपने मिनिमम फॉलो किया था कि मिनिमम इतना तो करना ही करना है?
I didn't fix a minimum. It was more like a maximum that I won't do 8 or 10 sets in same day. Because
Oh.
I tried to solve a set if it was very easy, I solved it the first go, I found it good. But if I tried to solve a set where it took 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I tried to understand the strategy because they might in CAT they might tweak it about. They might add a third variable or a new variable where it would make the thing tricky. So I tried that I'll solve one sectional which is 4 or 5 sets a day and one sectional either a verbal or either quant. based on what my schedule is. And verbal, I picked up an entire sectional, so 3 to 4 RCs you get verbals as well. Because in verbal as well, you need to find out where your strong niche is. If you're good at reading and faster at it, so you try to do the RCs first. Otherwise, if your grammar is good and your verbal is good, you go with the reasoning other part of the same, the logical verbal logic answers.
Okay, great, great. Now, anyone who is a little weak in reading, like I'm talking about verbal RC, especially reading comprehension, because like CAT is more about reading comprehension. So if let's say I am a candidate, I am a student, and I'm little weak in reading, मतलब मेरे को RC passage एक बार में समझ में नहीं आता. Okay, I have never had reading habits earlier in my life. तो उनके लिए क्या suggest करोगे? Or any step you took to improve your verbal RC?
So I think the first thing would be that people sometimes recommend you take on different essays book. There are a lot of books which you see on is there and Random Martin is there, but I think you start with the basics one. You start with some novel. You pick up an English novel. Okay, that is something. If you don't have any interest in reading, I won't be able to read an entire newspaper or an essay article book. You
Right.
start with a novel. Because when you study with a novel, you'll fix it on the language. You'll more be interested in subject and try to understand what is the glossary of the word. And at the same time, when you are solving an RC for the first time, when you know you are not that good at understanding the passage and the interpretation of the ideas, what is the inference? So you try to break down the package and write your own summary for each paragraph. If you are able to write a paragraph summary and understand, correlate with the what the author was, then you are good able to solve the questions. Because if you are just verbal, when there is no right or the wrong answer, it's about how you interfere the paragraph and how the author does it. So it's
Absolutely.
better you try to understand the inference of the author. You solve previous year cat, see how they think, what is their interpretation, break down into passages, and start with some basic reading. Don't like you don't need to study fancy essays. Cat is not an exam of vocabulary. There are very little questions which need your vocabulary, and that too not something where you need to go to a Renan Martin instantly.
I would say it's more of contextual usage as compared to knowing the exact meaning of the word. Right, right, right. Okay. Now, Vatsal, one more thing that I wanted to ask, and again, many students will be asking, क्योंकि अभी वो time period नहीं आया है, but students will be asking about this thing. Now, you prepared for CAT examination. Now, since you have cleared XLRI, you have aced XAT exam also. And CAT or XAT में around 1.5 months का difference होता है. CAT is somewhere in the month of November, third week of November, third or fourth Sunday of November. And XAT falls in the month of January, first Sunday of January. Okay. Now, generally people prepare for CAT examination. In CAT, we find Quant, verbal RC, logical reasoning, data interpretation. But there are two more elements that are tested in XAT exam. तो एक तो डिसीजन मेकिंग आ जाता है और एक जनरल नॉलेज. राइट, अब एक्सएलआर है क्रैक किया है तो जनरल नॉलेज का तो सेक्शनल कट ऑफ क्लियर किया ही होगा, कुछ ना कुछ तो किया होगा आपने जनरल नॉलेज के लिए. सो व्हेन डिड यू स्टार्ट स्टडिंग फॉर डिसीजन मेकिंग फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल to clear that examination, and then like journal awareness, like is studying general awareness very important for an MBA aspirant or not? So two questions in one.
So coming to the DM part, like last year when I gave that, I had a 99.768 percentile, and my DM cutoff wasn't cleared because I didn't know about the section. I went in like everybody thinks it's all about decision making. I'll take the right answer, and
हाँ.
that's what changed me. Like although I wasn't aspiring for an MBA that year, but I certainly thought that this could have gotten me into Xlri much easier with a 99.6. And this year when CAT was over, I understood that I talked to a few alums as well of Xlri as well as with my teachers that what is exactly decision making, what is the logic.
Mhm.
So decision making is a section where it's not about it's being about ethical and right at the same time. One thing is very sure, no unethical answer is the right answer. Sometimes they'll give you an option where you'll think that this is the right one. One rule I made is that an option which sounds unethical to me, I won't go with that. So I
Mhm.
need to find a mix of ethical as well as where I'm able to run the business itself. If I'm thinking from that perspective, what I did was I tried to study the previous year papers, what the ZAT paper setter was thinking, because most importantly, it's their decision at the final end, what they think. And I
Right.
tried eliminating the options in my paper because most of the time after the CAT, I was focusing on ZAT, their decision making only.
Mhm.
And that's where I tried I need to understand each option, even the wrong ones, that why are they wrong. So
हाँ.
I was recommended by my teachers and mentors that you need to start recommending crossing the wrong ones. We have an orbit, ठीक है, right हो गया, very good question, but I tried ki why isn't this the answer? This could be the answer as well. Because when I found the justification, that settled in my mind that when I'll face in the paper, I know why do I need to cross it out, and that's what helped me out to turn my DM score this year much better than the previous one. And GK, I think most of the people, it's in that this is GK is mostly current GK only, static GK. It's not about dynamic news happenings mostly. And if you ready some geography and you work on the newspaper in the time between cat and that, and also at the side by time, because in the interviews you're gonna need it anyway. So that helps you a lot in the GK section as well as the incoming interviews. I personally was a fan or not a fan of GK. I hated GK every time, and even in my interviews, I was very resistant after multiple interviews where I was grilled in my mock interviews for GK. Then I started reading it even during my prep. So you have all been like you will all been there, and if you know the you certainly will it will help you in the conversation in the PI as well. PI is all about conversations.
Right. Great. So now, yeah, lovely interacting with you. Now, finally, what overall advice you can give to our students, of every kind? Like, if I'm weak in anything, if I'm strong at anything, like in general, what a student should take care while preparing for CAT or these NB entrance exams.
So first of all, would be focus your energy at the right point. Take up a right teacher, and whoever you pick, just focus on that and believe on what they say, because they have a lot of experience that worked out for me. I trusted all the PW faculty and for what my shortcomings were. And one more thing, that even if you feel strong in section, don't take it for granted. You don't know what the paper setter will throw at you. And if you're weak, that's very good if you know what you're weak at, because that is something that people misguide. If you don't know what you're weak at, then you're certainly gonna mess up in your exam. You find your weak spots, because everyone has one of the sections. It's in CAT. It's not about scoring 204. It's about scoring, picking up the right questions at the right time. That is the reason why I had a score of 105 and I had a CAT percentile of 99.52. Use 54. So if you see, that's just a 50% marks. So it's mostly about picking the right questions and playing to your strengths. So that's all. That even if you are have a strength, it's good. Give it less time, but yeah, don't take it for granted that I'll kill it directly in the paper. Go with it, take it enough time and breaks, and focus on your weak sections and identifying the weak sections at first.
Perfect, Vatsal. Vatsal, thank you very much. Now, friends, this was Vatsal Soni discussing his journey, entire journey with PW, how he prepared for MBA entrance examinations, what all things he took care about. He was also working at the same time, so how he took out those precious hours for the study of for CAT and ZAT entrance examinations, and what was his schedule, what all things he took care, क्या क्या गलतियां की थी first time, from where he learned from his mistakes and did not repeat those mistakes. So this was the entire experience of Vatsal Soni. Vatsal, thank you very much for joining us. All the
Thank you,
best.
sir.
Have
Pleasure
a
is all
nice time.
mine. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.